a particular, maybe it's even, maybe you have a few bank accounts, maybe it's a particular one, that gives you that problem. If you own a laundry service, for example, I'm going to give you examples as I'm unpacking, the theme. You own a laundry service, so the issue, like I said, is ensuring that there's each garment, each cloth, each attire receive the right care, right care for each fabric type, as it were. Clothes are crisp, clean, ready to wear all the time. Maybe that is the process you want to, that's the aim, that's the point B you want to get to. So getting things on the digital, as it were, could give you some insights. You could get insights, on the detergents, that may be causing the problem, or maybe detergents are being mixed up. Maybe they're not well labeled, for example. Maybe the instructions are not clear. Or maybe it's human error. Maybe it's a particular staff that's always mixes things up, and messes up clothes for your client. So if you go digital, all these things will be easy to identify. And once you identify it, then of course you can use, digital, other levels of digitalization to improve it. Or you can even improve it even right there and then. What it does, it gives you insight. So for example, I talked about the farmer that struggles to get his produce to the market, to the right place at the right time. So the solution to that, going digital for him or her, could be, associating with other farmers and publishing production schedule and sharing transportation and saying, okay, we can do a right share, as it were, for our farm produce and go together, or publishing, your production plan, so customers see when your items are available, and maybe they're even willing to come and pick it up in the farm. They pay, they probably have all the logistics already. They're going to get it cheaper because they're going to reduce your distribution cost, and of course the loss that you usually incur. If you're in food business, you're trying to get consistent taste in your signature dishes. Going digital means, for you, revamping that process in the digital era could be you being explicit about your recipes. It could be you prepping up, the ingredients, for example, and you find out that it improves. Just make sure that everything is documented. You want the outcome to be ready at this particular time. You need to prep this at this time, prep that at that time, and make it explicit. And it could also be not prepping. Maybe the prepping of the meal affects, the taste. So digitalization, getting this information on technology platforms, helps you with insights that you can take action. I'm going to give you just one example. The blogging business I talked about. It could just be you setting an alarm. You want to post, for example, consistently. It could just be you setting up an alarm. You want to post maybe 4 times a day. Setting up an alarm maybe like 1 hour before the time you want to post, to alert you to start, putting the ideas together, or pulling it from the library that you have it. Or maybe it's about you not getting enough stories. So it could be a repository for your filler stories, and you having that in a digital storage, and you can see, oh, okay, I think my endurance level is 3 days. I need to get more filler stories. So going digital on your process is simply about adopting technological innovations that we have available to help improve and streamline your business, to improve the customer experience, to improve shareholder returns. I'm going to talk about the 4th thing now, and I'm going to pause and hand over to Blessings for questions, if there are, so that we can get some insights into this conversation. The 4th thing, the 4th phrase I want to unpack is digital era. The digital era is a time we are in now. So right now, I'm in Qatar, and I'm participating in an event by NetPost and Business Day. normally without the use of digitalization or without taking advantage of digitalization, they will have probably flown me into Lagos, the logistics, hotels, and all that. I lose probably 2 or 3 days of productive work. I don't know. We have other speakers. I don't know where they are. But we're leveraging on that. You see, so that is the era that we are in now. I tell founders of small and medium businesses that this is the best time to be in business, because the world is your audience. The world is your, and with all the payment platforms being being improved every day in Nigeria. I mean, we're the cutting edge, as it were. We're the cutting edge in payments, and things are getting better and better and better and better. Of course, there's some restrictions, using Nigerian cards and all that. But the message and the bottom line is that, of course, there are ways around it, and I'm sure a lot of you have ways around that, transacting on the global platform. But the bottom line is that you've put the global audience as potential customers. So I tell them, you need to be deliberate about what you post on your social media handles, because the whole world is watching. You need to use that to your advantage, not to your disadvantage, not using your business account to be, making silly comments in blogs and all that just to get attention. You need to be deliberate about your website, about what is there, because the world is potentially, your customer. Digital age refers to the present time, web times, where companies are leveraging enhanced technology to improve their business capabilities, operational efficiencies, and ultimately their customers' experiences and shareholder return. Let me say that again. Digital age refers to the present time where companies are leveraging enhanced technology to improve their business capabilities, operating efficiencies, and ultimately their customers' experiences and shareholders' returns. I don't have a dedicated vehicle most times when I come to Lagos, so I hop on the Uber and Taxify, and the number of drivers that have asked me to make transfer, not to give them cash, make transfer to my account has increased multiple folds in the last 2 to 3 years. Therefore, revamping your business process in a digital era refers to you as a business leader using available technology to improve what you have to offer to your customers and to your shareholders. I'd like to stop right now and take questions if there are, and hand back to you, Blessing. Blessing, back to you.
Thank you so much, Akin. This is a masterclass, or that was a masterclass. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I feel like you've answered all of the questions I have. I had questions on the impact of digitization and whether businesses should revamp and everything. So I feel like if I go over my questions, we'll probably be repeating what you've already said. But there was something that actually jumped out at me while you were talking, and you mentioned how business owners should not go on people's pages commenting with their business accounts and all of that stuff. And I see that happening a lot, right? But it also brought to mind the fact that, the Nigerian business environment, especially for SMEs, is not the easiest. So everybody's trying their best. But you see people go on these business pages and they're making nasty comments and they're trolling them and everything. Do you have any ideas how to handle trolls and cyberbullies, especially on social media?
Just to be clear, when you are being trolled, right?
Yes. So as a business owner, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So as a business owner, my counsel will be to to be professional, and have it at the back of your mind that the world is watching. Though you may have 100 followers or you may have 1,000 followers, but potentially the world is watching, and they say the internet never forgets. So I think when you are being trolled as a business owner, my counsel is to remain professional. You don't have to respond immediately, because if you do, it's more likely that you are going to be emotional than not. So you can take some time, to cool down. Some it could be a few hours, some could be a day or two. Don't leave it too long. Don't leave it, too long, and respond in a professional manner, and ignore the misbehavior, because what you're putting out there is on permanent record. We see of such things coming back to haunt, business owners years down the road. Some folks, screen grabbing, such response to trolls and using it against them. So be as professional as possible, knowing that the world is watching, knowing that is in its permanent form. And of course, trolls being who they are, if they continue, I suggest you ignore. And I've seen a few pages, a few comments, maybe the business owner is trying to explain and educate the troll. And you see other followers saying, please ignore this person. This person is a troll. Don't even give this person, your time. So you can also ignore, And if it's destructive, a destructive person or someone who's out to make sure that, it drags your business to the mud, you can block the person. It's your account. It's your personal page. I think that's, but that I'll suggest that to be the last option, after trying all what I just explained.
I mean, maybe when it starts messing with the business owner's mental health, just block the person. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing that insightful presentation with us. Thank you, Akin.
You're welcome. Most welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, so we'll move on to Muyiwa. Muyiwa, hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can. Hello.
Okay, hi, Muyiwa. Thank you for joining us today. So a bit about Muyiwa. Muyiwa is a consumer professional. Muyiwa Femi Pierce. He's a consumer professional who has significant experience in the public and private sectors, respectively. His experience spans almost 2 decades of dual exposure. He's a civil engineer by training, a foundational certificate holder of ACCA in accounting, and an alumnus of Harvard Business School, where he obtained a diploma in general management. He has also attended various courses at top global institutions and worked in various capacities in senior roles in 5 commercial banks. Muyiwa's last stint as a banker was in senior management with EcoBank, where he served as the technical assistant to the CEO and then head of strategy implementation. He went on to drive the value chain business for the bank nationally before taking up the lead role in EcoBank's regional SME banking team, where his journey into the world of SME started. Since then, he's been able to identify numerous gaps and opportunities within the SME space. He is the founder of the SME Mall and is passionate about SME advocacy. The SME Mall provides quality and affordable services across legal, accounting, tax, HR, business advisory, marketing and branding, and technology support and solutions. The platform allows value exchange between clients, that's value seekers, and service providers, which is value providers. So Muyiwa, thank you so much for joining us today. You are a pro in this SME business. So tell us about it, and then especially as it concerns the theme of our conversation today, revamping your business in the digital, revamping your business processes in the digital era.
Okay. Thank you so much, Blessing, to have me on this program. But basically what I'll do is I'll just take us through a story process and then give examples of how people have survived and why they need to in this digital era. So I'll basically start from the fact that the world is moving from too big to fail and physical processes to digital. So meaning a lot of the things we do are online and not in hard form. So let's say a transformation of someone like a Nokia versus Apple. We'll talk about Walmart versus Amazon. We'll talk about Hilton versus Airbnb. Then we'll talk about Hertz versus Uber. Then another thing we now talk about when we're talking about the business revamping, and then digital era is about things moving from asset ownership to what we call stripped outsourcing, which is what is happening with a lot of businesses and what they own. Then we talk about the movement from manual to digital. So basically, we'll say that a lot of Nigerian businesses need very simple things to do and to be able to move from this physical to digital era. And some of the practical examples are things such as we still have people doing bookkeeping, they use exercise books. We're saying they need to move from exercise books to using Excel or using accounting apps. We have people still using physical flyers, they distribute it in to cars on the roads and all that. I'm still guilty a bit of that though. But whereas the world has gone to e-flyers, you need to share it on your WhatsApp contacts and all that. Then we have people still making payments, check and cash, where the world has moved to full digital. There are people that will tell you they haven't gone to the bank except to make payments. The world is moving from physical meetings, what I do to be able to move my business forward, to Zoom and then Google Meets. People are moving from Gantt charts to Trello. Then bank reconciliations, activities such as that, which are physical and all that, are moving to accounting apps. People are moving from where we work in the office to working from home, basically, and all that. So basically, we will say that what we're just basically trying to push is the move from manual to what we call digital. And it's been a bit very difficult in the Nigerian climate with the fact that education and exposure is very important to the adoption of digital technology. And I must say that it is taking time for us to wake up, but I must say that the fast track or the adoption of digital has been driven by COVID. So for instance, our platform, which was launched almost a year ago plus, has been fast-tracked by COVID, and we doubt if we would have been able to survive without COVID. Then we can also say that a lot of Nigerians that are doing their businesses need to also start to understand, like Akin said, their activities and how to continuously improve those activities. And in continuously thinking about how to improve those activities, that makes them always look for an easier and quicker solution to their problems. So a guy that does a mechanic, how can he make his workshop more efficient? So he needs to start using a scheduling tool to be able to get people to come to the workshop. For the people, instead of them coming and then he's busy fixing a car and then he's distracted, he needs to be able to find a way to schedule diagnostics from repairs and all that. How does he document what he does? Even simple things like even in medicine, when surgeons have operations, they're meant to document it. How do they document now? Do they still use books, or they find a way so that when they write in the books, they transfer it into a digital repository, like Akin says, such that it's accessible now to the global world? And the most important thing that I like about what Akin said with the digital era is the world is your audience. The world is your playground. Everything you do is being recognized digitally. And to further buttress it, I got a message from someone less than 2 days ago saying he's been following us and he wants us to have a conversation on some things that we talk about. I don't know the guy from anywhere. I don't know what he wants to talk about, but he tells you that people like seriousness, people like thought leadership, and then people are following the social media and digital space for your blueprints to see how serious is this person, Is this person somebody I can do business with? Is this person credible and all that? So in summary, what I'll say is every business owner needs to have a digital strategy. And that digital strategy must encompass how he wants to move most of what he does, not all, into a digital space, into a digital form, such that he's able to compete in the world. So, I mean, now we don't keep things, for instance, I still do the old school printing and all that. The new digital age is you look at it on your computer, on your phone. And so a lot of us that are of a particular age are also trying to adapt to how things are working now. The new young ones don't like paper. Some of us still like paper. So those are the kind of things that we're looking at. And then this digital transformation also leads to what we call cost efficiencies, where working from the office and working from home is cheaper. So the institutions have now made it this thing to pass the cost to even the staff. So a lot of big institutions that have revamped their activities and all that in this digital era have most of their people working from home. So there's no cost of head office, there's no cost of diesel, there's no travel. See what Akin said, very practically. If Akin was to come to Nigeria for this would have cost Akin the minimum about 10 million. So you fly Akin through 2 routes, you possibly put him on business class, you bring him into Lagos, put him in a hotel, he's chauffeur driven and all that, then he goes back. And now we're able to see him, we're able to get the same message, we're able to even hear him, engage him. And it's almost as if I'm talking to Akin. So, I mean, almost as if he's live next to me. So I see that transformation and use of technology appropriately as a very good way to manage cost. Basically, that is what I have to say about this. And I'm open to any questions that you may have, audience or fellow co-panelists, with respect to the above topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akin. Thank you. Please, if you have any questions, kindly use the Q&A section to ask your question, and we'll take it in the course of as we go along. Okay. I have a question for you. No, sorry, not you, Akin. I was talking to the audience. I have a question for you. Now, the digital transformation comes with high stakes, and this is a fact. We can't pretend that it doesn't exist. Stakes include getting defrauded. Stakes include people not quickly adapting to these things. And I know that it's important for SMEs to prepare for this. How would you say that SMEs should prepare for these high stakes, and how can they also combat the issues that may arise from digital transformation?
Okay, thank you so much. I like what you've asked about. The average Nigerian, for instance, has trust issues, especially about different things. So we're very skeptical people. So SMEs basically are not adapting to the use of digital tools. Even our platform, the SME Mall, we have seen what we call people rather calling, send emails, or coming to be able to confirm. So one thing it also tells you is the Nigerian culture is a bit different from the Western culture. So we need to always adapt fit for purpose tools. And so there's always that issue of trust. And to deal with that issue of trust, we've been able to create a platform where we have our escrow partner help domicile the payments, so that when you pay for a service, a guy knows that I've paid for the service and I will get the service. If I don't get the service, I have my money back guarantee, and I have quality assurance on work done and all that. Then the second thing is also the need to constantly educate. We've continuously realized that a lot of Nigerians do not know the difference between products and services. And then also, especially around the use of these simple tools. So we always have to educate them on how to protect themselves in doing business. Simple things around the passwording, simple things around what they share with their staff, two-factor authentication, who has control over what, and a few other things. But once you're able to educate them, it kind of allays their fears and it drives their adoption of digital world. Then they are the same ones that become your ambassadors, funny enough. Wow, that thing was like magic. Now I don't have to do this again. I don't have to do XYZ again and all that. So it's trust. We need to educate and we need to continuously engage for them to be able to drive high adoption of the digital tools. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Miwa. Another question I have for you is access to internet is very important, and we know how it is where we are. How can SMEs navigate this access to internet waters?
Okay, so the first thing is I think that access to internet challenge is a problem that can be solved by our sovereign entity, so which is our leaders, Nigeria. And then secondly, we hope people like the Tesla man is trying to get internet as accessible as possible across the world. But the most important thing is everybody is having an access to a phone. And then there is an increased use of what we call the digital tools like WhatsApp, IG, and all that. So very necessarily, I don't think it's that access to internet alone that is important. There are a lot of things that you can do on your WhatsApp, your IG, and your Facebook. And that access to internet problem can also be solved in a few years with what we call the cost efficiencies. Running the telcos and all that in Nigeria with diesel cost and all that is still very high. So those guys have a particular limit to which they can price their products. Until we get someone willing to help us drop those products prices to affordable levels, which are within the disposable incomes of our poor Nigerians that are below a particular dollar earning capacity, we really cannot solve that problem.
Okay. I guess it should become a policy conversation then, so that
Thank you.
makes life easier for everybody. And of course, I understand that you mentioned platforms like Instagram, WhatsApp, and all of those. While they are also they're also internet based. I believe that they consume a lot less data than.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
So it'll be great if you have internet challenges.
Push those ones out more.
Yes, adopt the affordable ones so that you can actually become a part of the digital transformation. Thank you so much, Miwa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so I'll move on to Temitayo now. Temitayo is a certified digital marketing expert with over 8 years of experience implementing strategies and analyzing metrics that have a direct impact on the organization's bottom line. He's the founder of Prime Click Marketing, a digital advertising agency, and currently leads the organization to achieve client results in his capacity as the CEO and marketing director. Prior to establishing Prime Click Marketing, Temitayo has, over the course of his professional career, worked with various brands, including FMCGs, auto, tech, and finance through his work with Vision's agency, a top digital marketing agency in Nigeria. He has spent well over $1 million in advertising costs across various online channels to generate an 80% success and satisfaction rate for his clients. Temitayo, thank you for joining us on today's conversation. Can you hear me, please?
Hello, good morning. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you, Temitayo.
All right, fantastic then. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. And I'm happy to continue from where the former speakers left off.
All right, thank you. So please talk us through the importance of digital marketing in the digital transformation era.
Okay. So it's been glad to hear some of my co-speakers speak, and I totally agree with everything that they've said in terms of transformation and digital transformation in the business sense here in Nigeria. And I'll be coming from my own angle from digital marketing as regards customer acquisition. In terms of generating customers right now, everything has changed. And it really came to play again, like my last co-speaker said, during COVID. COVID really changed a lot of things. It was really hard to really, before COVID, it was you going to meet people, do digital marketing. But during COVID, it was them looking for ways to do digital marketing because there was no other option to promote their businesses. So yes, the transformation is already happening and is accelerating as the case might be. Some of the challenges that we can see from my experience, again, is trust issues, and then expertise in using these platforms. For SME owners, digital marketing levels the game for them, and transforming their business to use that is what they need to really focus on. In my experience, I'm more of a digital advertising person, which is a subset of the entire digital marketing industry. And from my experience, one of the cheapest means of getting customers for your business or your product right now is using the advertising platforms, digital advertising platforms. You've done extremely well. So the formal process of you looking for customers and trying to understand where your next customer is going to come from can be reliably resolved using digital advertising platforms by ensuring that you have your campaigns currently running and your processes in place to convert and attract those customers in place, so that when they see your ads anywhere they are in the world, they can easily contact you. And your processes, again, take it from there to converting them into actual sales. So it's very important that SMEs integrate digital marketing into their customer acquisition process and do it effectively. It has really democratized the entire market business way, in the sense that a startup today can compete with the global brands without leaving their home in terms of communication. So the same platforms that the big FMCG guys, the Nestle's and co, can use to communicate with customers, the same channels available to the young startup that just starts in 6 months, and they have the same audience, they have the same tools to use. It now depends on how effective and how great the product and communication is with your potential customers. So in that scenario, yes, it's very important that SMEs latch onto this and use that to grow and use that to grow and scale up their businesses as the case might be. From my own experience, again, digital advertising goes way beyond just sponsoring a post. Like most of my customers, when we start to educate them, they believe by just doing a sponsored post on Instagram, they're already there. No, it goes way beyond that. You need to have your strategy, you need to have your goals, you need to have your assets completely built out, and you need to, very important, have a process, your full-on onboarding process, more streamlined and implemented successfully for you to see significant results from whatever it is that we are doing. So it's very important that yes, it's integrated, and I'll take any further questions now.
Thank you so much, Temitayo, for sharing that with us. The first question that comes to mind for me is, considering that we're dealing with SMEs here, and we understand that SMEs don't always have the financial, not entirely have the financial power to run huge marketing campaigns, what realistic and affordable strategies would you recommend for an SME to acquire customers?
So that goes back to my own struggle as well. I used to work in a big agency back then. We used to work with the biggest brands. It was very hard to see us work with SMEs. I used to struggle to understand why. Then when I left there to start up my own agency, I decided to focus exclusively on SMEs. Then I realized why. The challenge was, I don't think the budget is the problem, because SMEs naturally, it should not be, digital advertising is not as expensive. You don't need a massive marketing budget to see significant results. You can start with $10 per day. You can start with $20 per day. You can even do with $5 per day. It's really not tied to huge marketing budgets if doing it correctly. The problem is that most of our SMEs cannot even afford those minute budgets. So that is one challenge that I've noticed, and it's either they cannot afford it, or they cannot risk. They are not willing to take that risk of spending X amount and not seeing why almost immediately. So those are some of the challenges I've had to say, educate them and tell them that you need to invest, and they see it as an investment, not like an expense. So invest and the result will come if you've done it completely. So in terms of budgets, be as easy as possible. All you have to do is $10 per day, $5 per day, set it up and see what the results look like. Take it from there and you grow. So there's not necessarily any marketing budget, which is why everything is now on a level playing field. You don't have to have the budget of the Coca-Cola or the budget of the Nestle to get your name out there, to get the word out there about your business using digital platforms that have transformed the game. With just tiny budgets, you can actually start and then see some results and then grow from there.
All right, thank you for sharing that with us. Now, my second question for you is, getting leads is one thing. I mean, everybody wants to make sales, and the first step to making sales is actually getting the customers, getting leads, people that inquire, that want to know what you're doing, and you can go from there. How do you keep and retain these leads? How do you get them coming back for more of what you do? Can you speak to that, please?
Okay, in our line of work and the experience working with clients as well, you mentioned something significant, getting the inquiry. What we realized was that these guys are usually one-man shows or don't have solid processes in place in their actual business to easily convert this lead. So we have to take it on ourselves as well to help them do some follow-up. So from my experience, the faster you can follow up with the client, with the potential customer, the faster you can close the deal. The speed of contact is one of the most important things from digital. When you're doing digital, again, it's digital. You are not just like you're advertising, you have 10 other competitors advertising, and if you're not fast enough to convert or fast enough to communicate, you might lose the person, your potential customer, to one of your competition. So we had to actually invest in a follow-up sales system that, yes, we want to ensure that these things are delivering results. We have to teach them, follow up, give them the data, and then use that to build their processes for them as well. It's very important that it's to convert that lead. The follow-up is one of the most important things. For the small SMEs that we advise them to grow their sales team. We advise them to invest in email marketing, to consistently be in front of the customers and consistently educate them. Again, communicating has gone beyond radios where you don't have a database of customers before digital came into play. Before, you do a lot of work, you get some customers, but it was almost impossible to reach these customers again before digital transformation, and you have multiple channels to do that now to continue the conversation after the initial acquisition. So we advise again that they use their social media channels, their WhatsApp channels, their SMS channels, their email marketing channels to ensure that they keep communicating to drive and bring back the leads and drive more revenue as a result of that.
All right, thank you very much, Temitayo, for sharing that with us. So we'll move on to Damola Richard Salvador. He is the CEO and lead strategist at DigiSplash, an award-winning content-driven full-service marketing agency with over 12 years of experience. With his strong creative and strategic skills, his extensive experience has led to admirable level of respect in the digital and advertising industry. He's an associate member of AppCon, a member of the Chartered Management of Consultants, and the certified speaker and leader in the prestigious John Maxwell Leadership Team. He has spoken at various industry events. Most recently, he was a judge and speaker at the Cannes Lion Creativity Week in Lagos. He has led his team to win various awards, which include 2019 Best FinTech Campaign of the Year, 2019-2018 Gold, 2022 Silver Kings Lions Award for Digital, and actually very many others. We have Damola with us today, and Damola will take us through digital transformation in the transformation in digital era. Damola, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. It's interesting listening to a lot of the other speakers, a lot of great insights as well. So thanks, guys. Okay, so I just put down a few things. I think there's a question in the chat, so I don't know if you would like to speak about that later on, Leslie. Okay, so like a lot of the speakers have said, you know, the impact of COVID-19, I won't say it's changed things. It's just opened a lot of people's eyes in terms of, you know, the importance of digital marketing. You know, thinking back to when I started working in digital, at the time, there were just 3 agencies, you know, now maybe 2,000 agencies. And then we had to convince people, like the last speaker mentioned, why they had to do digital and the importance of digital. You know, a lot of people will just tell you that all you're talking about is, I have a social media page, I have a website, that means I'm doing digital. You know, a lot of people are not taking advantage of the benefits of digital. And when it comes to transformation and the importance of it, you know, like anything that you do, you know, Einstein said that we shouldn't, he says, don't try not to be a man of success, but rather be a man of value. And I think it's the same for every SME. And what I will say that the SME should focus on, even when it comes to transformation, is offering value. You know, what does digital give you today? Or what does digital transformation, why should you focus on it? Why should you prioritize it? And the major thing is because it helps you stand out. We live in a value-oriented economy and world today. Looking at the different sectors that whatever you may be into, maybe it's music, logistics, you have a small store, everybody is about value, you know, and people will pay for value despite whatever location you're in. So, you know, people will pay for what they value, they protect what they value, they stay with what they value. If you're in a competitive space, which we are, especially in a country like Nigeria, where we have thousands of people doing the same thing, you know, what would stand you out in this global world? People talk a lot about the benefit of having a global world, but it also means that it's a competitive world. You have people competing for the same thing or telling people that they can do exactly what you can do. And what would stand you out now in this current world is, you know, digital. You know, you need to digitalize a lot of your services and offerings and values that you bring. Looking at, you know, just aligning with what some of the other speakers, I think it was Akina mentioned, you know, Uber, the world's largest taxi company, owns no taxis. And Facebook, the world's biggest or most popular media company, creates no content. Mainly, Alibaba has no retail stores, you know, or inventory. They are basically using digital to take advantage of demand and supply. They are using digital to, you know, meet the market needs. Let's even take it to Nigeria and our current local market. You know, look at Kuda. I'll just give examples of a few companies that have done it well. We know the established banks, and look at what the fintechs and, you know, a bank like Kuda have done in a short space. You know, Kuda has over 3 million users. A lot of the banks couldn't achieve that in years, you know, not that they had the wrong strategy, but because, you know, Kuda came at the right time and using digital. They own no physical stores or physical branches, but they basically use technology and understanding their target audience well. Look at Netflix, Prime today. There was a time that we used to, you know, borrow cassettes, borrow DVDs and CDs. A lot of those big companies that did refuse to transform their services digitally, you know, they died. You know, and it's the same today. Maybe someone also mentioned, even if you have a mechanic store, you know, how can you digitalize that? we have one of our clients, for example, Meko Autotech, which do that. That's what they do. Basically, what they've done is they've digitalized mechanics. So you don't need to worry about, basically you download their app, you have everything scheduled in. Your next service, they send you reminders, they pick up your car from where it is, they're sending you diagnosis through your phone. You basically don't need to leave your house. Cleaning services too, people are doing the same thing. You don't need to physically look for a cleaner anymore. You can book a session whenever you need them to come over to your place. So these are some of the benefits of what digital transformation has done. So in terms of how can you apply it to your business and to the things that you do, it's basically looking at what are the services you provide. First, even looking at your processes. What process can be digitalized? Are they things that you do not need to do analog anymore? How can you use technology and to reduce your costs? How can you use the technology to make things more efficient? Basically, so innovation, you need to be innovative. And that also applies to getting people that you can work with. If it's something that you cannot afford to do right now in terms of the people, things like what Business Day is organizing now, that you have the opportunity to listen to people, learn practices in other countries. Part of what you can also do is, look at case studies of successful businesses, look at case studies of processes in other nations. Are they things that they've applied that you can also apply as well? Taking it to digital and maybe marketing, which is my major forte. Basically, what I'll say is, you need to have a marketing strategy. You need to have a digital strategy. Businesses, I was looking at a survey from Smart Insights. 45% of SMEs will say that they are not doing any digital marketing. They are doing digital marketing, but they have no defined strategy. 38% will say that, they are doing marketing and digital, but it's not integrated. Basically, what they're doing on traditional, like someone has mentioned, you're giving flyers, you're calling, it is not integrated into your digital strategy. Basically, everything is not in sync. And some people will say they have no, strategy at all. They're just winging it as whatever comes up, they do. So the first thing is you need to have a defined digital strategy. And basically, what is a digital strategy? Is basically your business overall direction on how you plan to go in the digital space. And, basically, to add to that, I'm sure it's a term that we've all heard, you need to have SMART goals. They need to be specific. What exactly are you trying to achieve? It needs to be measurable. It needs to be attainable. It needs to be relevant to the times and the seasons that we are in right now. It needs to be time-based. So basically, work on your SMART digital transformation strategy. How do you plan to take your business? Where is your business currently? Do a digital audit and see where you are right now. What's the degree of, so first it's to start with a little bit of information gathering. What's the degree of competition in your industry? What are the threats of new entrants? What are the supplier power? What's the supplier power, customer power? What's your TG? Who's your TG? Who's your target audience? Who's your target group? What are the threats of substitution? Basically, a lot of research gathering. Number two would be to analyze this data. So after you've done a bit of competitive analysis, what is your competition doing? Where are the places that you've basically not taken advantage of digital? How does this transform to a strategy that you can make? How does this help your business? And number three will be to set a vision. So based on all the information you've gotten, what are you going to do about it? Where do you plan? Where do you see the business in the next 1 year? Where do you see the business in the next 5 years or 10 years? And, that will help you know how you get there. So maybe you need to start off with a web strategy. Do you need a website? Nowadays, there are a lot of cheap websites that any business can have, at the level that you are in. Have a form of digital presence. or web presence. You know, if it's a Wix website, if it's something from even Net Plus, I know that they, you know, provide a lot of these services as well. You know, do you have social media presence? What platforms do you need to be on? Also, I feel you also need to get some monitoring and analytical tools as well. It's one thing to say that you have your online, you know, are you monitoring how well you're doing? Do you have Google Analytics on your website? Are you monitoring where your targets are coming from, where your leads are coming from, the quality of your leads? You know, basically playing with the data that you have. So data is massive now. We see, you know, a lot of companies now using data. You see, maybe for example, Uber and your Bolt using the data that they get from you. You know, every time they're asking you, they're basically getting feedback from you with surveys and the likes. So what surveys can you also give out, you know, on the digital platforms, even in terms of your walk-in clients and people that you meet physically? Are you giving out questionnaires? Are you doing surveys? What kind of data have you gotten, and what can you use this data for? Basically, I think I'll just stop at that, and I'll just take any additional questions before I continue. So over to you, Blessing.
Thank you so much, Damola. Thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, it was quite insightful, and I mean, you mentioned strategy in the course of your presentation, and I know that it's also important to have different strategies while you are adopting to this digital era. So my question to you now is, why is it so important for businesses to focus on digital strategies?
Okay. I'll say I don't think you need to have different strategies when it comes to transformation. I think you just need one. And I think the better word to use would be tactics. So you have one strategy, then the tactics would basically be the different things that you need to do. So for example, what stage are you? I think the first question to ask is, what stage are you in your digital transformation journey? Or what stage is the business in? Are you a new business? What's your major problem? You know, for example, if your problem is you don't have enough leads, basically you're not making enough money, or you don't have enough clients, what your strategy should be is an acquisition strategy. So first thing you need to do is, the first question is, are people even aware of your product? You need to start off with an awareness strategy. It's not, you know, your focus at that stage shouldn't be on even getting clients. You know, the major challenge, like I've heard from the other speakers as well, especially the last speaker that, you know, is also in my field, would be a lot of businesses, what they want or what they tell you is, I want sales, I want sales, I want sales, you know, but sales is not automatic. People will not buy from somebody they don't trust. People will not buy from somebody they don't know. So the first thing you need to do at that stage is awareness. You know, people need to know you. They need to trust you. It's kind of like, I'll say, like, kind of speak, if you're going to speak to a girl for the first time, and from the first conversation, you're telling her, I love you, marry me. You know, she's probably going to run, or she won't, it doesn't make any sense. You know, the first thing you would do is introduce yourself. After you've introduced yourself, let her be aware of who you are and the value that you bring. And if you get, once you've done the foundational work, if you move into why you should work with me, or why you should be in a relationship with me, you know, they're more willing to listen. So the first thing I'll say is analyze what position you are as a business. A business like Business, they already have the awareness. So for them, it would be, you know, how do they translate a lot of the followership they have? Maybe they're trying to increase it, they're trying to amplify it, trying to take advantage of the people that they already have. So for them, maybe awareness would not be the problem. It would majorly be translation. Or maybe you have a lot of customers already or followers already. How do you translate them to, how do you monetize them? How do you translate it into money? So you have followers, but, you know, it's not resulting in sales. I think there was a popular TikTok influencer that was saying, you know, she organized an event. She has over 1 million followers, but nobody turned up to the event, you know, so she has awareness. but it's not translating to leads or sales. So basically, I think the first thing is analyze where you are. Come up with your strategy based on where you currently are. That will give you your objectives. Then there are a number of things, speak to experts as well. Some of the great insights that have been shared by some of the hosts today, note them down, see where you are, do an analysis of the companies in your industry or the companies in your space globally and locally. How are they succeeding? Find out what they do, what's working for them. How can you do something similar for your business? I think those are the things that would help you, understand your target audience well as well. You can't speak to everybody. A lot of people will say, they are doing social media advertising, they're doing a lot of digital marketing. But the problem is they don't even know who their ideal target audience is. So analyze your business, know who your target audience is, know who your target group are. How best do you reach them? What time of the day? What platforms? Basically, those things would improve your conversion rates as well. I hope that answers your question, Blessing.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's a question in the Q&A segment that's directed to you. And it says, the instances you've given tilts toward big organizations. Do you have homegrown SMEs that have thrived or are surviving with digital inputs? And the second question is, lastly, considering that reach is more direct to the younger generation, that's the Gen Zs, how do we link up with older generation?
Okay, in terms of speaking, so, I'll say all these are digital principles or marketing principles. It does not matter. In DigiSplash, what we say is, think like a shark. Everything big started small. Even those organizations you're talking about, we all know the story of Facebook, of Apple, all starting from a garage. Same thing for my business, for example. We didn't start with the biggest clients. We started, everything big, start small. So I'll say first thing is, even as a business, understand that your business is valuable, even no matter how small it is. Think like the big people. How did they become big? What are the things that they did? They have a strategy, so no matter how small it is, like the last speaker mentioned, you should have a marketing budget, a consistent marketing budget. Marketing or digital, it should not be a nice to have. No matter how small your budget is, do an allocation of your budget, break it down at the level that you are in. We've worked with small businesses, we've worked with big businesses. We try to help the small ones become big. That's always the vision and plan. So the principles I've mentioned, knowing your target audience, doing a competitive analysis, it applies to all businesses, no matter how small you are. So you can start off with doing a audit of where you are. What are the needs that you have? Small businesses also need a website. Small businesses also need social media. Social media will give you that leverage that a lot of companies, when you see their presence online, they look bigger than they are in reality. That's part of the benefits of digital. It makes you look bigger. It makes you look better than you really are in real life. So no matter how small your business is, these principles are things that you can do. Like the last speaker said, digital allows you to spend even from $5. It's not about the budgets. You start from where you are, and you can increase your budget even as you're getting more results. So the principles I've spoken about, doing search marketing. So some of the things that you could do, search engine marketing, social media marketing, display advertising, registering your business on Google for My Business, whatever it is. Even if you're, for example, even a church, registering on Google My Business, people are looking for churches around them, they find you. Looking for tailors around them, they find you. So these principles apply to any business, not dependent of size. If you do what the big people do, you become big. That's basically the way it works. So don't think it's based on the size of your budget or the size of your business. Everything big started small, and once you apply the right principles, It's only a matter of time. Your business would grow, and yeah, you will thrive online as well. Can you please repeat the second question again?
Okay, the second question is, considering that the reach is more direct to the younger generation, that's the Gen Zs, how do we link up with the older generation?
Okay, so we've seen that over time, yes, because a lot of the Gen Zs grew up with the internet, you know, that's the lifestyle that they already know. It's easier to reach them. But however, you know, millennials, Gen X, Gen Y, everybody is jumping on. For example, if you look at Punch, the news or even Business Day, you know, Business Day started off with physical copies. Today, look at what we're doing today. They're using technology to hold meetings and hold webinars. They have a growing, they have a thriving online version of their publication. They have their Instagram channels and their social media channels as well. So basically, it's trying to, even looking at the top sites in Nigeria, Punch, Nairaland, and the rest of them, you see that people want news. Everybody likes content. You know, like it's popularly said that content is king. What I see now is good content is not a luxury. Part of your digital strategy is a content strategy as well, content marketing strategy. Look at some of the pages that you follow on Instagram, for example. Why do you follow them? Even looking at the comedians, it's because they have good content. You know, some of them started with whack cameras, but their content is good. People are drawn to value. People are drawn to good content. So as a business, how can you, you know, understand your target audience? What are their interests? For example, one of the brands that we manage, Pureit, is a mom-centric brand. How do they speak like moms? What are the things moms are interested in? You know, it's not just about come and buy my product anymore. Look at the tag, that's age brackets. So if you're speaking to an older audience, what are the things they're interested in hearing about? That should help you decide what kind of content you should speak about. If you speak their language, they will come to you. Despite the age, despite the demographic, maybe it's from the A, B, C, D class, or whoever the person is. So basically for the older audience, everybody has interests, despite what age they are on or what age they are. Over time, like, you know, we're beginning to see that almost everybody can be reached on mobile. So even those old people that, you know, we like to call them, or older people that we like to speak about, they are online. You know, some of them are on Punch. Basically, it's where are they online? What kind of content are they interested in? If you provide what people need, they would come to you, despite what age they are. So I think content marketing would be the right strategy to get maybe the older generation online. I hope that answers your question. Back to you, Blessing.
Thank you so much. And I hope it does, because it's important to be able to create content that resonates with your target audience. So if your target audience is Gen Z, then you should create content for Gen Z. If it is Gen X or Y, create content for them. If it's the baby boomers, you should create content for them as well. It's really important to do that. Thank you for that insight and knowledge, Damola. Okay, I'll come back to you, Akin. I have a question for you, and the question is from Joy Madu, one of the attendees of this event, and she says, how can a clearing agent revamp his business through digital means as a service provider?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Blessing, for that, and for Joy for asking that question. I will answer it in an indirect manner, and also maybe I'll just be specific just a little bit, just to help you. And I'm doing that so that, you know, everyone can understand the principle, because it's about the principle. It's about the principle. Once you get the principle right, you can apply it to a clearing agency. You can apply it to an advertising agency. You can apply it to a government agency. You can apply it to an oil and gas business. You can apply it to a pure water business, whatever business that you run. So the first thing to do is to step back and say, okay, what are the key value levers, of my business, and how can I, use the available technology to achieve greater impact from those value levers. So, like I said, two key value levers for most businesses: customer experience, customer satisfaction. And because when customers are satisfied, the outcome of that is usually inflow of cash. If you solve problems, cash comes to you. And of course, shareholders. Most SMEs, or many SMEs, I don't have the data, are sole proprietorship arrangement. Some of them are partnership. And the owners, live on the proceeds of the business. So it's important that you as a shareholder as well, you get some decent return. So once you identify what the levers are, the value levers are in your business, what processes deliver those values, then you need to, look for the technology available. And for most things, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The answers are there. I'll give an example. I was reading an article recently of UPS, which is kind of similar. So you can use that in a very broad sense to your business. So UPS understood two things. Number one, they wanted customer satisfaction. Number two, they believe that real-time tracking are the greatest levers for their business: customer satisfaction and real-time tracking. And what they did was to use digitalization to get data, about their operations, those, I'll call it, if you like, value chains, and see how those insights from the data that has been collected from maybe thousands and thousands of trucks, maybe hundreds of thousands of trucks across the world, and use that insight to solve the problem of faster delivery and real-time tracking. So they got a couple of softwares, and if I remember clearly, some of those softwares will tell the driver the most efficient route to get to a destination, not just fastest, also efficient, because we're also concerned about their carbon emission. The software will guide the business on how to load the vans, the big items in a particular place, the smaller item, so that there can be speed. The software will even tell when to wash the vans. It was as detailed as that. So at the end of the day, the efficiency improved. How did it improve? By going digital, by having the data that they have. Data they have about delayed delivery, about packages ending up in the wrong destination, about not knowing where their delivery vehicles are. They used all that data that they collected, they upgraded it using artificial intelligence, and they were able to save 100 million miles in 1 year. 100 million miles. We were able to save 10 million gallons of fuel and $50 million US. So the moral of this story essentially is that for your business, maybe you can say, okay, what are the pain points? What are the processes that deliver the greatest value to me? So, for example, it could be delayed cargo. So your customers, they're having their cargo being delayed. Are you able to bring some transparency to the whereabouts of the cargo using the data that you have, or using technology that are available, in the marketplace? I'm sure, go off the shelf, you can pick one or two software that will address the problem. Or is it about damaged goods? Are there ways to prevent damage? Are there ways you can advise the customers to package their goods? Maybe putting it in boxes or not cartons, for example, in wooden, what they call it now, those wooden boxes, crates, crates, instead of cartons. So the data you have, you can say, oh, maybe this particular airline, they are notorious in handling maybe soft packaging, for example. Then you can propose, some packaging that will protect it, or by avoiding the carrier. Is it about delivery? Maybe the goods are in your warehouse, but maybe the warehouse is not free. It's probably costing you money. You putting that information you have about, all the goods coming into your warehouse, the average time they spend in your warehouse, the average cost per delivery, then you can objectively charge for demurrage to reduce your losses. But if it is not visible to you, like I said, what digitalization does is that it puts what you have on pen and paper, it puts it on the screen and the keyboard. If all that data is not visible to you, you can't improve it, because it is what you can see, what you can measure, that you can improve. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. If you cannot make it digital, it will be very, very difficult to improve it. So Joy, long answer, but the short response is that review your business processes, and the ones that add the greatest value, bring the data online on something digital, and analyze it. You begin to get insights on how to solve the problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akin. Joy, I hope that answered your question. So I'm going to go across all our speakers and just ask one more question as we try to wrap this up. So we're wrapping up in about 10 minutes. Temitayo, are you here? I would like to start with you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so my question to you is, how can SMEs avoid Google penalties? So I know that you're a Google Ads specialist, and it's very possible to get caught up in, oh, my page was brought down, my ad did not run, and all of this. How exactly can SMEs avoid these penalties? Please, if you could answer that in 2 minutes, I would appreciate that.
Okay, so there are lots of penalties. So I'll just talk about the most popular one that I've come across. One is payment issue. So where you have your payment not being declined and it's suspended because of your payment issue. So one I usually advise is to just get a $1 card, get the actual domiciliary account, and then get the $1 card. You have to source your dollars, not as if you're paying in dollars. For my agency, we have an opportunity to pay in Naira, but that's only available for big agencies and spending some amounts of money. But for those not able to do that, you just need to get a domiciliary account and then use that. The second one I probably would talk about too is when you are running ads that violate their policies. It's very important that you study the Google policies. Basically, it's just common sense policies. Don't promote illegal products, don't promote scams, don't promote security things, don't be who you are not, who you are meant to be. And if you are in some particular industries like finance, gambling, gaming, you want to get some certifications and then ensure that you have passed that on, and Google can certify that you're certified by the regional bodies governing your services. So those are the major ones that I see most of the time: payment issues, and then violating the policies as regards maybe illegal ads, or you're running get rich quick schemes, you're running loans that are not approved and stuff like that.
All right, thank you so much, Temitayo. Damola, I'm coming to you next. You talked about building a relationship with your target audience, and it's really important to build relationships. So how exactly can businesses build relationships with their target audience?
Okay. In terms of building relationships, I think it's the same with, just think of it like you're building a relationship with a person. It's kind of like similar principles. So you start off with understanding who they are. You need to get information of who they are, their interests and their passions. So basically, first thing is, if you already have those people, if at the stage that you're collecting data, you can ask certain questions. when they are registering. So information about, how old they are, their age, and the like. So let's say you are a retailer. Let's say you own a retail business. On their birthday, sending them newsletters, happy birthday, personalization would be good. That
I think we lost him there.
Okay, I wasn't sure from my end. Okay, so I would just move on to I'll come back to you, Akin. And the question I have for you is, are there any negative impacts of digitization on business?
That's a very good question. Are there negative impacts? You see, the way I see it, digitalization is taking your business, from analog to enabling available technology. So in terms of disadvantages, generally, I will say that the biggest one I see is perhaps maybe cybersecurity, and being sure that your systems are protected because you're out there. They're hackers. Otherwise, digitalization actually, gives you a bigger platform to do the business that you usually would do analog. So just ensure that you have the right protocol in place, the right security in place for your systems. Make sure that your staff they've been. I'm talking about the mitigation now. They've been trained and onboarded, on how to handle, security breaches or potential security breaches, including phishing and whatever it is that they may use. I think that's the greatest risk, because what you're doing essentially is bringing your business online and exposing yourself to customers all over the world. There are good people in the world and there are bad people in the world. So please protect yourself, protect your company from cyber attacks.
Thank you so much, Akin. Tumiwa, I'm sorry, I thought you exited the call at some point. I'm really sorry. I should have brought some questions your way. Okay, so I'm from e-commerce is a major part of the digitization process. How can SMEs transition from brick and mortar to e-commerce?
Okay, yeah. So basically, what it is the SMEs need to find out what spaces they play in, and then what particular platforms exist in those spaces. And when they find out the platforms that exist in those spaces, they need to be part of the ecosystem to be able to tap into the potentials. But what the e-commerce world has done for them is it gives them the exponential access to customers, and then also free marketing, because the platform is responsible for the marketing, governance, and architecture framework for the operations. And then it also reduces their overheads, basically. So it's in other ways also improves their efficiencies. So if you're in the product side, Then you'd be dealing with platforms, Jumia, Konga, and Co. to be able to see how effectively they match your prices for products and all that. But if you're on the service side where you need services like accounting, HR, marketing and branding, technology support, and business advisory, then you'll be leveraging on platforms like ours, which allow you to be able to afford access affordable services which you would not have been able to afford if you had tried to engage those professionals on your own. So, so that is basically what it is. So find your space, find the platforms that exist, and then seek for collaborative opportunities to be able to grow your business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Speaking of collaborations, how do you avoid getting entangled with the wrong person?
Okay, so, well, just like in simple terms, even in friendships, marriages, and all that, there are things we call due diligence. So a due diligence check is very important. There's also an informal conversation around understanding their culture, how they do things, to see how well you guys get along. And then for the collaborations, the only thing that is most important is to have the clauses that have to do with the service level agreements, so that we have what is in place for efficiency. Because if you get into the wrong collaboration and it's not effective, what it does is it spoils your customer experience and will possibly lead to an attrition in your customers. And you really don't want to have an erosion of your already existing brand equity. So I think the due diligence 1, SLAs 2, consequence management 3 will be most effective in dealing with the collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muyiwa. This has been a very insightful session, and I hope that you have learned one thing or another that you can apply to transforming your business. The digital era is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's important that you begin to adapt to it and revamp it as soon as possible. I will now hand over the mic to Linda. Thank you so much, panelists, for sharing your knowledge in this conversation.
Okay.
Linda.
Blessing, can they play the video, or there's no video playing today?
Business Day team.
Oh, there's no video today.
Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to thank everyone for logging in for the meeting, and we've learned a lot. I'm really grateful to the speakers. We would like to tell people that they can actually subscribe to Business Day platform, and the prices are online. And if they also want to reach out, they can reach out to Linda at businessday.ng, or also call on 080-260-11296. We're also trying to work on fastest growing SME that's going to be in December, top 100 fastest growing SME. So the site will be up soon for them to register. We're also trying to create packages for SME. So if they do have any questions, they can always reach out to me or send us a message. Just send us a message to our DM on our social media platforms, and somebody will send it across to me. Thank you very much. Blessing.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's conversation. We'll see you again next month. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks. Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.